All right, welcome. Another episode of The Big Picture. It's your brother Mel. Um, Hope y'all enjoying the content. Appreciate all my subscribers who appreciate the content. Like I say, if you are appreciating the content, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, like, share. I'm trying to get the word out, and all I want us to do is wake up. I want to talk about something today, a story that I ran across, and then I'm gonna tie it into a few more stories. I got a couple of articles that I pulled up from Democracy Now, and also from the Washington Post. Um, and I'm just gonna read a little bit of that when I get started. Would like to welcome my ActivateMedia.org family as well in Boston, Mass. Shout out to Patrick Wilson, one of the brothers out here fighting for the right thing. It comes a time we gotta stand up, and shit that's happening in this damn America is really heightened my anger. It's really heightened my rage towards racism and racist. How much longer are we going to allow ourselves to be victimized? I want to talk about today this goddamn America and its history of lynching, because I ran across a story today and I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to bring the information that I have so far. It's not really a lot. I was looking for and I had trouble finding it, and then I went back and found the name of the young lady that I will be speaking of, and may her soul be able to rest in peace. I'm so tired of us still receiving unequal treatment. And it pisses me off that in the midst of the police brutality, in the midst of these racist white people taking it upon themselves to take lives from our communities, I'm just very upset. It's very upsetting that we still have to deal with strange fruit and black bodies swinging from trees. And then this goddamn America is so quick to write it off as suicide. America has a rich history of lynching. Let that sink in. And then when I bring you this information, let that marinate. It is time for us to get off our asses and stop worrying about all the petty shit that we worry about. And excuse my language, I may say that word more than once. But this goddamn America has me in a rage tonight. And it's inability, I won't even say it's inability, it's unwantedness to do what's right. And to just write off our deceased individuals. And I want to start off, I pulled up an article. This comes from a June 22nd issue of the Washington Post talking about lynchings. And this excuse me, it says that because they rule these things suicide, y'all. Understand that. And this is why I want to tie this in, what this psychologist Raymond Winbush had to say in this particular article back in June of 2020. And he said, black people do not commit suicide. Of course, though the rate is 60% lower than for whites. According to data from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, in Black American culture, suicide is widely regarded as a shameful act. And when it happens, it's generally private, and hanging is not a preferred method. And he goes on to say, this is what Dr. Winbush had to say. He said, it is very uncommon for young black men to commit suicide, let alone by hanging. And he's been a psychologist since 1976, who has treated hundreds of black men and boys, and is the director of Morgan State University's Institute of Urban Research at this time. The American Association of Suicidology reports that firearms are the predominant method of suicide among African Americans, as they are for the nation overall, regardless of sex, age, followed by suffocation or gas inhalation. So it is quite difficult for black folks to believe that people are choosing to hang themselves by the neck in public from trees while the fire of this racial tension continues to blaze. And I agree with what the good doctor has to say. America has a history of lynchings. This picnics, which were referred to as pick a nigga, this is where picnics were derived. And this is how diabolical and evil these racists were. They would, after church, announce it during church. What? Christianity is not a religion for black people. I'm going to say that again for the ones that did not hear me on the back row. Christianity is not a religion for black people. They lynched us under the guise of Christianity. And we still to this very day practice their Christianity harder than they do. I don't do Christianity. I don't do the white Jesus. I know better now. This is bothersome to me because history seems to be repeating itself. At least for those that look like me. That seems to be the case. I'm going to read now just a few cases. This particular information comes from Democracy Now! And it is also from June the 22nd of 2020. During and remember, 2020 was the shutdown year, was when they tricked us into a panic with their plandemic. Yes, plandemic. And these lynchings took place during from May of 2020 to June of 2020. And this is just 5 lynchings. One was in Palmdale, California. And I remember a few of these once I got to reading this article. I do remember a couple of these. It's this one in Palmdale, California. Robert Fuller, 24 years old, was found dead, hanged from a tree near the community's city hall. And city officials said he died by suicide. And in so many of these cases, and you would be amazed, just a piece of homework if you are curious like I am. Google black people found hanged within the last 20 years. You will be amazed at that list. I actually have it wrote down in a tablet somewhere because I did a podcast on it on my other platform. When I was on my other platform, there were about 50 names. From young to old, found hanged. And in most of those instances, those cases were ruled suicides because of the coroner's report. And some of these coroners write them off as suicide to relinquish accountability, to be able to close the investigations so that they don't have to put in the manpower and the hours to actually find out why and how these black men and women were found hanged. Robert Fuller. And then after Robert Fuller's death came, 10 days after that, another black man, 38-year-old Malcolm Harsh, was found hanged from a tree about 50 miles away from Palmdale, California, in Victorville, California. And after calling for an investigation, Malcolm Hirsch's family said that over the weekend, that his death was in fact a suicide, that they had reviewed the footage the police had provided. I don't trust that. Not in the age of technology that we live in. You can easily edit and cut and insert into videos whatever you want with the advent in this advanced technology that we have now. New York, Dominique Alexander, 27 years old, was found hanged in a Manhattan park. This was in that same year. Medical examiner's office ruled the cause of his death suicide. America has a rich history of lynching. And in Texas, they found a young man, 17 years old, that was found hanging from a tree. Found hanging, from a tree in an elementary school playground in Spring, Texas, which is about 3 hours south of where I live, here in Dallas. And like I say, go back to 2020. There was a mass shutdown so people could do things in the dark of night. And this is when these racists do what they do. Nothing has changed in America. Don't be fooled. Nothing has changed in America. And like I was saying before I started reading these people who practice Christianity and are non-righteous individuals would actually announce hangings in the church. We're going to be hanging so-and-so after church, and they in their Sunday clothes, and everybody gathers around. Not to mention, there was a lynching here in Waco, Texas a few years back. And 10,000 people attended that lynching of that young brother. I can't recall his name right now, but they cut this brother's fingers off because they were lowering him and raising him up above a burning fire. He was trying to climb up the chain to get away. They cut his fingers off so that he couldn't climb his way up the rope to get away from the fire. They burned this man. And not only that, they cut off his penis. They opened him up, took his liver out. They took these things as souvenirs. This is how evil and diabolical the people that we're dealing with. That racist mindset is pure evil. Pure evil. There's nothing righteous about a racist and racism. And I, for one, I'm tired of sitting down in silence. It is really time for action. And I'm just wondering, does this not bother us? Do we not think that this can't happen to one of ours or you? Your uninvolvement is complicit with racists. Our silence is complicity with this. And we need to start making up some noise. A lot of noise. Because as long as we remain silent on these matters, they will continue to happen. So they had their picnics while they sitting around enjoying their lives. There's a brother in the balance waiting to be the devil's entertainment. And we have saw several pictures of lynchings. And you see men, women, and they even brought their children. And this is why racism still exists in this country. Because they teach their children racism. They would take their children to these lynchings. And if that is not a sick individual, I do not know what is. That is about as sick as it comes. But we have saw several pictures that they used to send make postcards out of lynching victims. So not only did they cut off fingers and ears and cut up livers and all of that to have as souvenirs, they also admired their work on postcards as well. Strange fruit in this goddamn America. And we still dealing with natural lynchings to this very day. I really don't care what anybody has to say. I know from the bottom of my heart that the majority of these people that have been found hanging from trees did not do this to themselves. And with the history of lynching in America, the last way that I am going, who wants to suffocate to death? You're choking yourself to death. That is just a horrible way to die. So who's going to choose that way to die if they're going to unalive themselves? Who is going to do it in that fashion? And especially with the history of lynching in this country. And lest we not forget the race car driver that Bubba Wallace, in his stall, they found nooses. And here just in recent news, we have heard of people finding nooses and people finding dolls with nooses around their necks. America has a sick history, and America doesn't try to correct itself, nor will it try to correct those who do these heinous acts. Because it's part of American history. America was built on that type of violence and that type of interaction. It's nothing new. But they want us to believe that these people are killing themselves. And that bothers me. And it bothers me even more. What bothers me even more is our silence. Like, if you're scared, just sit on down. If you're scared, okay. But some of us are concerned about the welfare of not only ourselves, but our brothers and sisters, our children. And I for one, am one of those individuals that are concerned. I am bothered by how we're treated. I am angry because we're inactive. Our unity is our power. Are we going to continue to sit in silence and let these types of heinous acts continue to be committed? Policing doesn't work. Slave catchers don't work. Slave catchers are doing exactly what they were created to do. These race soldiers were created to do. They're doing exactly what they were created to do. Corral and harass black people. And they don't give a damn about finding a black man or a black woman or a black child lynched. It's not them, and it doesn't affect them. So yeah, they don't want to do any investigations. It takes me back to my son and the incident that happened with him losing his life and the shitty job that these so-called police and detectives did. So ready to write it off as a suicide because they don't want to do the work and they could care less about a black body dropping. They dropping them. So do you think they are concerned about a lynched black man, woman, or child? Ask yourself. Use your common sense, because some of us are just really truly, common sense ain't so common. Some of us don't think. Some of us just go along with the program. We go with the flow. We don't want to cause any ripples in the water. Well, I'm going to ripple it up. I'm going to chunk rocks, drop boulders. It's time to expose, and not only expose, but it's time to deal with the virus of racism, white supremacy. Now, I want to talk about the most recent lynching of a young lady. And I'm really bothered by this. Black men, where are we at? Black men, my brothers, where are we at? Black men, my brothers, we are needed. We need real men to start standing up. It ain't no time for fear. There's no time to turn the other cheek. We don't have any more cheeks to turn. This young lady I hope I'm pronouncing her name right. Yolna Lubrin. Yolna Lubin. Yolna Lubrin, Lubrin. Young lady, and this just happened a couple of days ago, y'all. And where's the news on this? Where is the damn media on this? See, the media has become silent when it comes to our murders. The media is silent when it comes to our missing girls and boys. We don't get the Amber Alerts. I watched a program the other day. I think it was Little Girl Lost. 2 cases that I had never even heard of. And thankfully, the young black girls were found. But just the nonchalantness of the police department. I listened to one of these mothers say that her daughter was missing. Her daughter was 15, and the police said that she's not a kid, not a child. What the? She's not a child. She's 15. She's not an adult. But this is the priority that we're given by this system. And if you are not tired of this system and this broken ass government that we're under, the system. That's the way I feel about this government. This government has never gave a damn about us, and I don't give a damn about this government. And more of us need to start thinking that way. More of us need to feel that way. More of us need to be angry and a little more upset about our treatment, about our young people being unalived, our women being unalived, our men being unalived. This virus of racism, white supremacy must be dealt with. We have got to start meeting this head on. It is a necessity. It is a true necessity. Our survival depends on it. Yolna Lubrin. Young lady, it did not state her age, but I'm going to read this and then I'm going to go into the other things. And actually, a few hours ago in Orlando, Florida, where this happened, they gathered at City Hall. And I hope that they overran City Hall with protests. Peaceful protests, of course, but I hope they overran the City Hall of Orlando, Florida. Also known, she was also known as Yo-Yo to her family and friends, was found dead hanging from a tree on Westmoreland Drive and Livingston Street, and the circumstances surrounding her passing are unknown, although the authorities ruled it as a suicide. This happened a couple of days ago. And within 24 hours of her being found lynched from a tree, partially nude. I'm going to say that again. After being found hanged from a tree, partially nude, within 24 hours, the medical examiner comes back with an official ruling of suicide. Suicide. Medical examiners write it off. No need to do an investigation. No need to follow up on this. That's a suicide. No, I don't believe that. They're ruling it as a suicide, but, in 2023, it requires more investigation, and especially in a case because there are too many unanswered questions and not enough proof. And not only that, in 2020, there was another hanging. 2020, there was another hanging in Orlando. Nevin Baker was his name. Nevin Baker, who was found hanging from a tree in a very suspicious manner for it to be suicide. And they say that this is not the first time or the first time in a while that something like this has happened in Orlando. So Yolna Lubrin found hanging in a tree, partially nude, and then they found her. Listen to this, y'all. I want y'all to really let this soak in. They found her car not far from where she was hanged. And when they found her car, the smell of gasoline had been poured on the car, but it hadn't been burned. So I obtained from another podcaster, another influencer who lives in that area. And they said that her car was a few blocks away from where she was found lynched. And that the smell of gasoline was strong on the vehicle. They said that gasoline had been poured all over and throughout the vehicle, but was not set on fire. So common sense tells me that if I'm going to lynch myself, why am I going to do it partially nude? I have never heard of anybody that has committed suicide and just got undressed to do it. And not only that, to get undressed and then hang yourself in a public place, visible. And then, how did her car get from where she was lynched to where they found it? How can you, as a human, write that off as a suicide? And my heart goes out to the young lady's family. As always, my deepest sympathy and condolences go out to her family. And this one really bothered me. When I ran across this a few hours ago, I was, like I say, very enraged and very upset because we're losing our young people unnecessarily. If we become more united and more vigilant about one another's safety and stop being, we have got to get out of this selfish state. We need each other out here, y'all. I can't say it enough, and I just throwed it in like I always do in my podcast. We need each other. This is proof evident that we need each other out here. We cannot continue to be the victims, and we cannot continue to believe that this goddamn America is going to change. We cannot believe that this goddamn America is going to do the right thing. Look at the shambles that this country is in right now. And you gonna put faith in this country? You gonna still go along to get along in this country? Do our lives not mean anything to you? Do you love yourself? I'm asking you, black men, black women, do we love ourselves enough to stand up and do what's right and what's best for us collectively? Unity. being the key word. Moving as one. Moving as one. We can fix the problems, but silence won't do it. And one man can't do it. Like I've always said, separate, we're nothing. But together, we powerful. Let that sink in. We have got to get out of that individual mind state. We need each other. We are all we got, and we all we need. But we have got to start, we've got to start standing up. There's no other way to put it. We've got to start standing up. We've got to start fighting for what's right. If we don't, we're going to continue to see these incidents happening. I'm really at a loss for words. And for me, that's something. But this really bothers me to my soul that we are still being lynched in America in 2023. It bothers me to my soul that we don't have the unity that we need to have. We don't have the unity that our ancestors had. I'm sorry. And I don't care who don't like it. We don't have it. We're not united like we should be. We're not united like our ancestors in the past. And as long as we stay disconnected, they're going to continue to do what they do best. And the beast is good at killing, unaliving people. The beast, that's all the beast knows. America, built on violence, corruption, anything evil you can think of, this country did to come into existence and used us to build it. And still to this day, we're not respected. We're not appreciated. God damn it, I'm tired. What is it going to take for us to do what we need to do? What is it going to take for us to wake up and get on the same page? Are we going to have to keep dying, or are you going to have to die? What is it going to take? When is enough enough? When? And our silence, like I said earlier, our silence is complicity with the system. Stop being scared to speak up. Ain't nothing wrong for standing for what's right. Your reward will come. But do the right thing. Stand up for your people. Love your people. We got to take care of one another out here. We don't have many allies out here. And we dying, y'all. We being hanged from trees again. Rest in peace. Rest in power, Yolna Lubrin. Because your death was unnecessary. And I really hope that the people of Orlando, Florida, ride that damn system down there. Ride that city hall. Ride that police department to do the right damn thing. How can you, within 24 hours of finding a young woman hanged from a tree half naked and her car found minutes away from where she was at? So what did she do? Drive her car, drop it off where it was found, pour gasoline all over it, and walk back to that tree, take her clothes off, and hang herself? Some shit don't make sense, and this don't make sense. Think, brothers and sisters. We're being hunted. We are the prey. And like I say, do you some homework. Google lynchings. You will be amazed at how many lynchings have taken place from 1980 to now. You will be amazed. In this system, Ain't Shit Joe and Enhide and Harris, what are they doing for us? What are they doing for us, the victims, the true victims of white supremacy, racism? Not a damn thing. And I'm going to say this. If you go out and vote for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, you a damn fool. We put him in office. He promised us he'd have our back, but he ain't done shit for us, and he's not. And Enhide and Harris, she don't even really claim her blackness. She a Pacific Islander. She ain't concerned about what's happening to us. She too busy trying to party and throw hip hop 50 parties at her house where all them old bougie boule Negroes and gatekeepers be. See, because there's certain ones of us, like they say, all skin folk ain't kinfolk. And yeah, these gatekeepers, all these rich picked people, Boule Martin, all of them who used to be up in that system, yeah, still in it. Still in it. And then he all at the party. He ain't really concerned about what's happening with us as black people. He don't even sound right. I saw a couple of his interviews where he's interviewed people who have been police brutalized. He don't even sound right interviewing because he ain't concerned. He's not concerned. He just want to be seen. He want likes. He's after money. Money hungry Negroes ain't got no business in the movement. Because this right here is done with love. It's done out of the spirit. It's done from the soul. And it's done out of concern, true concern and love for your people. And I love me, so I love my people. I love who I am. And I love my brothers and sisters. I'm tired of seeing us suffering. The time for suffrage has to end at one point or another. When is enough enough, y'all? Are we going to have to wait and hear about another lynching? That's really all I got, y'all. That's really all I got. Y'all think about that. We can't continue to live like this, y'all. It's getting worse by the day. And this government ain't for us. It's time to separate. It's truly time to separate here and here. And start loving on one another like we need to be loved. That's key. That's key. We need to go back to the black print of our ancestors who worked together in unity, collectively. All right, that's it. I'm done. I'm done venting. Like I say, if you're liking the content, thumbs up, subscribe, share. I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. You know, I got love for my people. I'm concerned about my people. Like I always say in closing, y'all, let's plan, let's organize, and for y'all's sake, let's unify. Because we all got to keep right here and right here. I'm out. To the next one, peace, power, and love.